Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for watching my video today. Now, the NFL playoffs are fast approaching. They're actually starting tomorrow at the time of this recording, so I'm a bit behind the eight ball on my NFL playoff prediction coverage, but I'm going to get it in here nonetheless because I really think this is going to be a really fun NFL playoffs and a really interesting round one. I think the themes we've had the last few weeks, a really interesting last 2 weeks of the season, I would say. It all boiled down to that Chargers versus Raiders game last Sunday night, which had pretty much everyone talking about on Twitter, on social media, all that kind of stuff. But there's also a lot of other interesting games the past few weeks as well. But it all leads up to this really fun round one, and I'm really excited to give my predictions here today. Now, starting off with the AFC, the Titans, they were able to secure the 1 seed despite all the adversity they had to go through this year. Last year's leading rusher, he probably would have been this year too. Derrick Henry, he's been out since the middle of the season, although he's expected to come off injured reserve for this playoff run and this extra week off. Now they have the bye is really going to help them there. The Titans also had to deal with a lot. I mean, they set the NFL record for 91 players played in on a single team in a single season because of all the COVID and injuries they had. That's why I think Mike Vrabel is probably the easy coach of the year favorite. As much as I've loved what Matt LaFleur's done with filling in for injured guys, Mike Vrabel's done that to a much larger extent than Matt LaFleur. And he's overcome stuff like Ryan Tannehill's struggles without Arthur Smith. He's overcome the failed Julio Jones trade. He's overcome the absences of Henry and A.J. Brown and all kinds of stuff. I think Taylor Lewan was injured as well at one point. So the Titans really earned that 1 seed by just grinding out these really tough wins every week. So it'll be interesting to see who will face them in round two. So getting into the first round playoffs. So first of all, the Chiefs will be hosting the Steelers in the 2-7 matchup, and I think this is by far the most obvious prediction that anyone can make for this weekend. I'd be surprised if anyone besides the utmost diehard Steelers fans out there are picking the Steelers this week. The Chiefs are probably just going to lay the smackdown on them. The Steelers players, coaches, fans should be mailing letters of thank you notes to both Brandon Staley for his idiotic timeout, costing the Chargers that thrilling Sunday night game that we really thought was going to tie. And the Raiders were probably going to tie the game and get both teams in the playoffs, but Staley messed it up. And then also Carson Wentz. They should be thanking Carson Wentz for his abominable performance against the Jags. That was just, I was really shocked by that. I thought the Colts were actually going to have a good shot at making a little run in the playoffs, and it wasn't to be. But nonetheless, the Chiefs, I think they take advantage of a really lackluster Steelers offense, to say the least. The Steelers defense is really good, but I think Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, they've been here before. I might be remembering wrong, but I feel like they've beaten the Steelers at some point as well. Maybe that was back in 2018, if I'm not. I might be mistaken, but they've had the show off before. So I'm anticipating a Chiefs win here. I don't care that Juju's might be coming back. It's not going to make a difference. So I say Chiefs advance to the second round. Now moving on to the 3-6, it's a matchup we've seen twice already this year because they're division rivals. The Patriots will be hosting the Bills, and just like that first clash that was up in Foxborough, when the Patriots won the game 14-10, it was a Bill Belichick masterclass coaching performance. It was a negative degree weather. All he did was run the ball. Mac Jones passed 3 times, and the Patriots were able to eke out the 14-10 win. Now the second time in Buffalo, the Bills, they were able to get the job done much more convincing fashion than the first game. And Bills are hosting this game again. It's going to be very cold. I think I was seeing negative degrees for the feels like temperature up in Buffalo for this game. And I think the Bills, this is, I think, their 4th appearance in 5 years with McDermott. They've made it every year into the postseason since 2017, barring 2018, which was Josh Allen's rookie season. I think the Bills they just know what to do. This is a young Patriots team. Now, Bill Belichick, he'll be hard on them if they lose the game. And, that's what he should be doing. He's a great coach. He expects greatness. But this is a really young team. You got a rookie quarterback who he's looked really good, but he's still not ready to make a real Super Bowl run. You got a really solid defense, but still, it's not elite. It was the closest thing you can get to elite, but I don't think it's quite yet a Denver 2015 Super Bowl level defense that can just win on its own despite a mediocre offense. You got rookie running back, you got young offensive linemen, young receivers, young secondary players. The Patriots will have their time. I could see them next year making a real run at the Super Bowl, but for now I think the Bills, they've been here before. They need to get over at least the first round hump. They've done it. They've won in the first round before, but they can't go out in the first round this time. So I think they're going to get a nice earned victory, Josh Allen is just he's gonna bring it. Him and Diggs will be connecting all game. J.C. Jackson and company may try, but I think the Bills will get a nice win here and move on to the second round. Now, finally, this might be my favorite first round matchup in terms of just excitement and the differing styles of both teams. Bengals are hosting the Raiders. The Bengals, they've been red hot. Joe Burrow, he passed for the third most passing yards in a single game. I think it was 525 yards. Knocked me out of my Dynasty Fantasy Football playoffs. He did the same thing a week later. Had another great performance. And then last week he took the week off because the Bengals playoff spot was solidified. As for the Raiders, I touched on their win over the Chargers in that fantastic Sunday night game. The Raiders, so let's just talk about this real fast. All the adversity that they've had to go through. John Gruden getting fired for his email scandal. Henry Ruggs getting cut from the team. They had a couple. Damon Arnett, one of their corners, had a weird situation. And just the fact that this team was not expected to be this good. Their defense got way better. Max Crosby leading the charge on that front. But a lot of other veteran role player guys really stepped up. And the offense, Renfro taking a huge step, becoming kind of the pseudo next Wes Welker out here. Derek Carr had his best year since 2016. I'm always rooting for the Raiders. I always just find myself hoping that they can get back in the playoffs, and they finally did it, even with this goofy intern coach, Rich Pisaccia, at the helm. And if he wins this game, he pretty much earns himself the job. But at the same time, I just can't see this this Raiders team beating the Bengals this week. I think the Bengals just have much more reliable firepower, and I just think that, Zach Taylor, I don't know if he's a great coach, but I think he's shown enough this year that he can win a playoff game against an interim head coach. And the Bengals defense has also really made a step forward this year. And I did a preseason power rankings. I had both of these teams very low on my list, I think in the late 20s. And, it was because of their defenses, partially. Bengals O-line was also a concern, but both teams very well coached throughout the year, even though I don't have a lot of faith in Pisaccia. I think he still did a good job for what he was given, and they exceeded everybody's expectations. But when push comes to shove, I think the Bengals are going to be the better team here. So moving on to the second round, I've got the Titans hosting the Bengals in the 1 versus 4 matchup, and I really think the Titans are going to win this game. They're just like the Bills. They've been here before. They know what they need to do. Derrick Henry's going to have fresh legs. And this Bengals defense is good. They have a good front seven led by Trey Hendrickson. But I think Derrick Henry is going to be the spark the Titans need to reach the AFC Championship once again. They missed out last year going out in the first round, but they were there 2 years ago in Derrick Henry's first real year as the best running back in the NFL. And he still is that in my opinion. So I think his comeback is going to help the Titans grind out another huge win this year and get to the AFC title game. On the other side of the bracket, Chiefs versus Bills. We've seen this before. It was last year's AFC title game. The Chiefs won, and I see a similar result here. When I look at the Bills and the Chiefs, I see the Bills as a very, very good football team, but I see the Chiefs as a great football team. And of course they are. So I'm picking them here. This is going to be their 4th straight AFC title appearance if they do make it that far, and I think they will. If you just go across the roster, Josh Allen's a top-tier quarterback, but Pat Mahomes is top 2 in the entire league. He's already won a Super Bowl, and you just go down the roster. Almost everything the Bills have, the Chiefs have at a slightly higher premium level. The only thing is kind of the secondary, but even then, without Trey White, the Bills don't have as much of an advantage as they might have if everybody was healthy. So I do think the Chiefs will win there, and that sets up a rematch from the 2019 AFC title game, Chiefs versus Titans. And when you look at these rosters, I will grant you that very little has changed in those 2 years. There's a lot of the same players on both sides of the ball, and yet I'm picking a different result than we've seen. I think the Titans are going to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC title game. And maybe this is skewed logic, but I just have felt, even after they got together late in the season, you even saw it last week against Denver. There's just something about this Chiefs team that while they're still really, really good, they're still a great team, something's not there this year, and I don't know what that little tick is that's throwing them off, but I think that Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, as long as they come to play in that type of game, and as long as Rabel, he had some weird calls in that Ravens first-round loss last year. Actually, did the Titans lose to the Ravens in the first round? Maybe I'm forgetting last year's playoffs. I'm pretty sure the Titans lost very early in the playoffs last year, though. But nonetheless, I do think that the Titans are going to win this time around against the Chiefs. I think their defense has been just shown a lot of grit all year. I keep saying that same word, but it's because that's the only way I can describe this Titans team. It's the best way I can describe it. I think they're going to make their first Super Bowl since 2000 or 1999 season. 2000 year was the Super Bowl, but that's over 2 decades ago. And I think they're finally going to get back here. So shifting gears over to the NFC. The 1 seed, my Green Bay Packers, of course, they earned it. Overcame plenty of adversity. Now, Matt LaFleur is close behind Mike Vrabel for the Coach of the Year honor, in my opinion, but Mike Vrabel was able to overcome the injuries at a much greater scale with those 91 players having to suit up. But Matt LaFleur was able to guide this team through a lot of injuries as well, and we're getting real guys back for this playoff run. David Bakhtiari at tackle, Jair Alexander at corner, Zadarius Smith off the edge rushes, most likely also coming back. And even Whitney Merciless, who a guy we signed mid-season, he was hurt, and even he's coming back, and that's a fourth pass rusher who knows he's been in the NFL a long time, former Pro Bowler. That's 4 edge rushers when you throw in Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary that I really think is going to be a huge advantage for the Green Bay Packers in this playoffs, especially as a home team. And it's just something that we haven't had in many of these playoff runs over the past decade. Not since prime Clay Matthews have we had or even one edge rusher like that, and now I think we've got 2 or 3 that are at least above average guys. So nonetheless, about the Packers, they're not playing in the first round, but who is playing in the first round is the number 2 seed and the reigning Super Bowl champion, the team that sent us home in disappointment. That would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're facing the Philadelphia Eagles. The 10-7 Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone slandered them. I was one of the people slandering them. After those first month and a half, and I think Eagles fans can agree, Nick Sirianni was not doing a good job. He wasn't running the ball. He wasn't using players the way they should be used. Then they traded Ertz. Everybody thought that was weird. Weird timing anyway. People thought it was going to happen before the year. And this team got it together. Granted, they haven't beaten a team over 500. That's a playoff team. But this Eagles team, I mean, it's not their time to win the Super Bowl yet. They're very young. They have the 3 first-round picks, as everybody knows. But they've been winning games, and the defense is very underrated. It's very good. Darius Slay is one of the best corners in the league. And when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Evans is the only reliable receiver, in my opinion, that they have left. And as Tom Brady proved 2 years ago with New England in 2019, when he doesn't have the weapons even that are even kind of adequate enough, he can't win in the playoffs. And yes, Mike Evans is adequate, but he's also struggled. He's more than adequate, but he's struggled against elite corners many times over his career, with Marshawn Lattimore being the most obvious example. And Darius Slay is much better than Marshawn Lattimore, and if he just is in the game, if he's in the zone on Sunday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time, if he is able to lock up Mike Evans enough that game that it really limits his production, there's a chance the Eagles can sneak away with a little first-round upset. And I'm so confident that I'm picking it. And you can say, Joe, you just don't want the Packers to play Tampa again. I'm not scared of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year because they don't have the defense they had last year. They don't have the corners they had last year. And we don't have to worry about Kevin King costing us either. This is not about the Packers. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, thanks to Antonio Brown, only have one reliable receiver on the whole team, and I think Darius Slay is going to do his job, and the Eagles are going to make a little 13-10 win out of this first round. They're going to advance. They're going to be the first 7th seed to win a playoff game in the 2 years that we've had this system, and I'm very excited to see it because it's going to happen. So moving on to another matchup that I'm going to kind of make my reason for picking because of cornerback, which is kind of probably flawed logic. I don't care. The 4 versus 5, the division rivals, the Rams and the Cardinals, both teams started really hot this year and have just dwindled and played worse and worse as the season's gone along. And now Rams are hosting the Cardinals in the 4-5 matchup. The Cardinals just lost to the Seahawks, who looked lost all year, and then all of a sudden the Seahawks, destroyed them. Rashad Penny with that long touchdown. So what this comes down to is, who do I trust the most out of 2 teams that have not been trustworthy? And I'm going to go with the Rams because, the Cards don't have DeAndre Hopkins. So what are you asking? You're asking Jalen Ramsey to cover Christian Kirk. So let's just say that's a huge matchup advantage for the Rams. And Christian Kirk finishes with 1 catch for 8 yards. How about that? I'm going to predict something along those lines. You're asking Kyler Murray to either run all over the Rams defense that consists of Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, Eric Weddle's coming back for this game, which was really weird. Probably a future Hall of Famer. He just said his Canton date back 2 years, but whatever. That's his decision. He's another hard hitter for the Rams to have. So you're either asking Kyler to run around on all of those guys for a win, or you're asking Rondale Moore and washed up A.J. Green and older Zach Ertz to take down what's left of that Rams secondary. And I just think the Rams have more talent in this situation. And if they lose, they lose. Both these teams, I've been really confused by their end of the season. I was surprised. I was looking at some stats the other day. Matt Stafford finished the year with 41 touchdowns. That's shocking to me. I thought he had less than that, but it's probably because those interceptions were skewing my thoughts on his season. But nonetheless, I'm going to have the Rams moving on as well with the Eagles. So moving on to the final first round matchup, Cowboys versus 49ers, an old school 90s matchup. This was an NFC title game matchup many times. Cowboys will be hosting this in their big home arena. And listen, my dad's a Cowboys fan, so I have more sympathy for the Cowboys than a lot of people. And I was kind of thinking they were going to have a good year this year, especially after Fitzpatrick got hurt. I thought it was their division, and they took home that division. And yet, and their defense has been much improved. Micah Parsons is the Defensive Rookie of the Year favorite. There's no debate. He's going to win it. Trevon Diggs, he's been a great playmaker. I don't care what you say about his yards allowed. That guy turns the ball over. That's the most important thing for a defensive back to do. I don't think the Cowboys have the heart to beat the Niners. And that's just, I've watching most of their games this year and seeing how the Niners have been so explosive the remainder of this season. I don't see how the Cowboys, and it's not even, like, I don't even know if, it might not even be about heart. It might just be a talent thing. Like, Mike is only one man. I don't think he can take Kittle and Samuel and Ayuk and Mitchell. Like, all these guys have been fantastic this year. And, well, Ayuk has come on, but I would say his second half of the year is really good. But overall, I think this Niners team, even if the defense isn't quite what it was 2 seasons ago when they were Super Bowl contenders, I think the offense has made up for that enough that they're going to win a road playoff game here and defeat the Cowboys. And from here, I don't know what the Cowboys do. They're going to be faced with a lot of hard decisions this offseason, whether it's guys like Cooper, what to do. If they lose Dan Quinn, if he gets a head coaching job, what to do with the defensive coordinator job. So, yeah, I'm sending the Cowboys packing, unfortunately. And I was really looking for a Packers-Cowboys game because the Packers always beat the Cowboys in the playoffs, but it's not going to happen this year, unfortunately. So the Niners advance, bringing me the second round. Packers-Eagles, 1-7. I know most people watching this are Eagles fans, so you're not going to like what I have to say, but the Packers, Lambeau Field, Eagles on the road, Jalen Hurts in the cold weather, the frigid weather. Darius Slay versus Devontae Adams. I'm not sure how many Packers-Lions games you guys have watched over the years, but Devontae thoroughly owns that matchup. So he's much better than Mike Evans. Packers, this is going to be a relatively easy win. You beat Tom Brady again. You beat Tom Brady 2 times in less than 5 years, one of which was for a Super Bowl, and the other was to help my team win the Super Bowl. So, take what you can get. Eagles are going to lose to the Packers, but only after they beat Tom Brady. And moving on to a divisional matchup on the other side of the bracket, Niners-Rams. Rams will be home for this one. And, the Rams haven't been that good this year, as I was alluding to in the first round preview. And I think they're going to get the win over the Cardinals, but I think they're just going to be like, oh, we beat the Cardinals. They're a good team. See, we're not falling apart. No, you are. All your issues were hidden because of the Cardinals having a slightly more issues than you. Niners are going to win another road game here. They're going to set up a rematch between the Packers and the Niners from the 2019 NFC title game. So we're having the two teams from both title games in 2019, Chiefs versus Titans and Packers-Niners. It's happening once again this year. And I'm picking the opposite result again. My Packers are going to beat the Niners. This time it's on our home field. Last time was on the Niners. The Niners defense is not quite as good. And I do think Deebo Samuel will give us the work in that game. He will. But when you're bringing back Alexander, when you're bringing back Z Smith, I think that Mitchell will have a hard game running. Samuel won't be able to run for much either. And we can put Jair on Deebo. but I would actually probably put him on Ayuk and totally take out the rest of the receiving game and stick Rasul on Debo. Hopefully, there too many big plays don't happen. There will probably be one, but I think this Packers offense is like Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Garoppolo. At the end of the day, Rodgers is going to outplay him because Raheem Mostert is what happened last time, not Jimmy Garoppolo, that beat us. So I think the Packers are going to beat the Niners. They're going to make the Super Bowl for the first time since 2010 when they were a 6 seed and made it to the Super Bowl. They're a 1 seed this time. And that's going to set up the 1-versus-1 Super Bowl. You say, oh, that's such a chalk pick. It's happened before many times. I think Broncos versus Panthers is a good example of when it has. Packers-Titans, it's a weird matchup. Like, not a lot of history of importance between these two. But I guess we're starting it here, and I'm going to pick my Packers to win the Super Bowl. I mean, how am I not going to pick the Packers to win the Super Bowl, especially the way they played this year? Two teams that had to overcome a lot of adversity, and it's kind of fitting for them to end the season playing each other. At the end of the day, just like what I just said, Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Garoppolo, Aaron Rodgers versus Ryan Tannehill. Titans don't really have a corner who can even give Devontae Adams trouble. Neither can the Niners, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Emmanuel Mosley is not going to slow Devontae Adams down if Darius Slay can't. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers getting his second ring, re-signing with the Packers in the offseason. Maybe the Texans will trade for Jordan Love, or maybe we'll just keep Jordan Love. Have a nice little backup to develop on the team for years to come. And the reign of Green Bay starts this February. So those are my NFL Super Bowl predictions. If you made it to the end of this video, 21 minutes, thank you so much. Thank you for valuing my opinions and predictions. I appreciate that. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. And as these playoffs go along, I'm sure I'll be making more videos. My goal is to make more videos about what goes down over these next few weeks and NFL offseason, all kinds of stuff after that. So thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy this great first round of action.